So Nathan, we look back on last week's Challenge Cup victory against Swinton. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I thought we did a reasonably professional job. We just wanted to make sure that we maintained some sort of intensity for a period of time, and obviously treat the opposition and show them the respect they deserved. And I thought we did both those things. I've seen us play better, but I thought they started the game very well. The opposition, I think they got 2 or 3 repeat sets in the first sort of 7 or 8 minutes, and we were good enough to hold them out. And then off the back of that, we did some good stuff. So I really couldn't fault the guys' attitude and commitment, which was pleasing. And Swinton should be proud with, they definitely challenged us when they had the ball in their hand. And for blokes who were part-time, I thought they did a really good job, and I'm sure they'll have a good year.
And obviously next week, difficult opposition away at Catalan. What's your thoughts on that game coming up?
Yeah, well, it's always an exciting trip going down to Catalan. It's obviously very different to the other 13 teams. Obviously they're based in the south of France and not in England, and the sun's out, the weather's warmer, and you get to play a pretty reasonable brand of football. Catalan obviously enjoy playing at home. They're a big physical side who are very skillful, and they can move the ball from one side of the field to the other probably as good as most sides. So it'll be challenging on numbers of fronts, but one I think we're all looking forward to.
You say that we're going to be able to play a bit more of elusive football over there, and with the tough conditions we had at Huddersfield and then at home to Swinton, is that going to help us playing in the sun?
Well, it's just a different style, isn't it? I mean, obviously, what we played in at Bradford, if the weather's good in Catalans, which it's predicted to be, and we all hope it is, it's just 2 different types of football. It's if you look at the Challenge Cup final and then you watch the final at Old Trafford, it's just 2 different conditions and 2 different styles of play sort of benefit just due to the conditions. So we like to think that our attack's going reasonably well and we can move the ball if conditions allow it, and we'll head to Catalans with a bit of confidence.
Obviously they've done well, Catalan, this year, and find themselves near the top of the table like the Giants. What sort of danger men are you expecting from them? Obviously Scott Giroux started the season very well.
Yeah, he plays really well, Scotty, for him. He's obviously a very good organiser, got a great passing game and a good kicking game, and I think he would openly agree that a lot of his work's done off the back of the good forwards and Henderson out of dummy half. He's obviously a real threat and a real competitor, isn't he? And he competes hard for them, and those big guys around the ruck definitely can create room for Scotty Giroux and Leon and them type of blokes. So we need to get the physical part of our game right first and make sure our forwards, our big men, are doing a good job in the middle, and then it gives you some sort of chance. But if their big men dominate, it makes it a lot harder.
And how are the squad looking for the game? Is everyone fit?
No, not everyone's fit, but most people are fit. We've got a couple of blokes who won't be able to make the trip. Lee Gilmore's wife's due to give birth on Saturday, so he best stay in England and make sure he's about for that one, which is obviously more important than the game of rugby. And we've got 1 or 2 other blokes who we'll have slight fitness worries over, and if they're not up to coming, they won't come. But we'll take our best fit 17 and hopefully put in a good performance and come back and prepare for our next game then.
And obviously we'll be going into Clash, top of the Super League, expecting to stay there after the game with a good 2 points.
Oh, we'd like to go there and play well, wouldn't we? We're not going there to lose, that's for sure. And we are quite aware that the side we're playing are a very good side, and they appear to be a side at this stage here that there's a real threat and a real chance of gaining something this year in the way of silverware. So they're widely predicted by everyone to be the side most likely outside the Big Four to win something, and hopefully we can go down there and put in a good performance.
And obviously the Challenge Cup draws got us at home to London Broncos. What do you make of the tie?
Yeah, well, to be at home's obviously a bonus for us. We're travelling to London, we're travelling to Catalans this weekend. Our worst draw was to have to fly home and catch a bus from Barcelona and fly again, then fly back again. Because obviously, this time of year when you're flying to Barcelona and then you catch a bus for 3 hours, it's a fair bit of travel. It was something that we definitely didn't want to do. We hadn't spoke about it. It was definitely our least favourable draw. Our most favourable draw was a game at home against whoever, and we've got London who competed hard against us early in the year and made us really work hard to get a win. And we've got a side who I would think, like the other Super League sides that are left in the draw, have got a dream to get to Wembley, and they'll come here committed and keen, as hopefully we come here.
And obviously with the Challenge Cup we're getting further now, it's into the quarter-finals, a few of the big teams are drawing against each other. With a home clash like that against Broncos, you must be confident going into the tie.
Oh, just the fact we're at home, not the fact because who we're playing, the cup in it sort of was always something different, and just a bit of romance about it, and we've already seen this year some upsets, and the fact we're playing at home, and whether we drew Lee or we drew London or we drew St Helens or Wigan, it didn't really matter. As long the fact we are at home is obviously good for us. And two, the next thing we've got to worry about is how well we perform. And it seems to be if we perform really well this year and get our areas where, as a club and as individuals, what we've got to do well, if we work hard in the correct areas and we play well, we give ourselves a good chance. And I would expect against London in the cup that we'll come as prepared as if we've got to play for our lives, because that's what the cup's about, isn't it? You come to win and you get your name in the hat, and if you don't, you're out. And as I said, I think there's 7 sides. No disrespect to Lee. Lee are a National League One side who've done tremendously well to get to where they are, and they come up against Leeds. I think they'll go to Leeds, and that'll be that on its own is going to be an achievement from and you would expect Leeds to go through, but I would expect there's 7 sides in the cup, London being one that would fancy themselves of going to the finals.